Hi everyone, so today we're going to use Lawn Fawn's Beary Happy Holidays stamp set to make this cute little Copic colored winter scene with two little bears that has a sentiment that says, "You make my heart spin." And we're going to set the little bears on a frozen lake in the middle of a forest. And we're going to make our land a little bit different in this painting than we usually do because we're going to make it rounded. So we're going to make it look as though the forest is surrounding the bears just by making the land line kind of like in a circle or a half circle shape around the bears. And then we're going to draw in our moon in the upper right hand corner, and you can use any type of circle to get the right shape of the moon, or if you're good at freehanding, you could just freehand in a little circle too, and then start to build your background around that. And the first marker we're going to use is B000, and then we're going to go around the B000 with B21. And then to round out the sky, we're going to use some markers from the B30 series. So we're going to use B32, B34, and B37. And we're just going to keep going until the darkest colors are towards the edges of the sky or of the scene. And I'm just taking my B34 here and building out the edges of the scene. I'm trying to leave a pretty big glow in the center of the page just so that we're going to have a lot of trees in this background, and I wanted some of the trees to be kind of poking through the glow in the moon, and if they have a light colored area on the paper to peek through, then they'll appear as if they're glowing in the light. So that's why spending a lot of extra time just making sure that the middle of our scene is nice and light, as opposed to normally you'll see me just do, I'll build out my shading just in a straight circle, right, in little circular rings around the moon. But here I'm doing it more in like, I guess, a diagonal off-center fashion, just because you'll see in a moment when we start building in the trees how cute they're going to look when they're peeking up through the little glowing area. So I worked pretty hard on this background just to get the colors to blend nicely, and we are going to go over this at least one more time before we're done. Now I'm shifting focus onto the frozen lake that the little bears are standing on, and I'm using B45 on the very outside edges, and then we're going to fill that in with B41 getting towards the middle, and then blend everything together with our lightest shade, the B000, which also matches the lightest shade around the moon, so that there's a little bit of symmetry, I think, between the sky and the lake itself by using that one color that is the same to tie everything together. And now we're going to start building up our little trees. And for these, I'm just placing lines to note where I want my trees to go, or at least my first row of trees. Then I'm just going to build them out with my Y93 marker. All the trees are done in Y91 through Y99. And for the trees that are closest to us, I'm going to use the darker shades of the YG, so like the YG 95, 97, and 99. And then for those trees that I want to appear in the distance, we'll use the lighter shades, and we'll put less detail on those trees just so that they appear that they're farther away. And it also helps to reinforce the depth of the trees that are up front and center, that are in darker colors and have more shading. So the trees that are up front may have like 3 different shades of the YG on them, whereas the ones that are all the way off in the distance, they may just have 1 shade, they may have 2 shades, Some of them may just be like straight up and down lines with no further, no more decoration to them or detail to them. And that's just to give you the impression of this scene where there's a forest and it just kind of goes back into the distance for miles and miles. And here, if you look at this tree now, hopefully you're starting to see that glow that I was talking about, that if you leave a light area in the middle of your paper and you put your trees there, then you'll be able to give the impression as though the tree is kind of glowing in the evening sky. And I just love how that looks. Now I'm just kind of darkening out the rest of the sky. I do this often. Usually I'll start with a lighter sky than I intend to end up with, just so that it gives me a chance to add in all of my detail without the detail kind of getting lost into the really dark background. And then once I have my detail in, I can go back over and make, just the areas where I want it to appear darker. So I'm adding some more trees. I thought that our forest needed a little bit more depth. And these are trees that I'm trying to make pop even closer forward to the forefront of the scene by making them really dark. So these are mostly like Y97 and Y99s. And then I am just going to put some more trees back in the distance. Very little detail, just straight up and down lines with light colored markers, just to give the impression that there is this, a lot of trees in the forest. And then I'm going to try to bring some other trees up towards the front by making them darker. And then I'm going to work on the part of my scene where the ground meets the sky, and I'm just taking a dark gray marker, and then I'm going to take one of my dark YG markers and just kind of scribble a little bit, make it look dark and hazy, and then blend it into the detail of the remaining trees. Now I'm taking off the masking paper on my little bears, and I forgot I didn't have masking paper and colored over the arm of one, but that's what colorless blender is for. It's our best friend. It helps us fix our little mistakes that we make in our Copic paintings, especially if we fix our mistake very quickly after we make it. For the little bear's scarves, I'm using some reds and some purples. The purple is B63, B66, and B69. So even though it's in the blue series, it still, I think, is the best purple in the Copic collection, or the B60s range. And then for the bear on the left, we're going to color him in with some warm brown tones with E31, 33, 35, and 37. And then at the end, I may go in with a little E39. In hindsight, if I did this again, I would probably color this bear in with some E20s because the E20s give a much deeper, stronger brown, I think. These E30s they're good if you're coloring like chocolate treats and things like that, but for critters in the nighttime, I had a hard time just getting enough color into the scene, so I had to work on it a lot and just keep going over it and over it until my brown looked dark enough. For the little bear on the right, we're going to use some warm grays. So warm gray 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, and 5. And the 5 is going to go on the very, very edges of the bear where the darkest shadows would be, and then we're going to blend it out with the lightest colors. And because it is a nighttime sky, I did make my little bear, who, if it were daytime, he would be white. I wanted him to appear a little bit darker. And for the ice skates for both bears, we're just going to use cool gray in C5 and C7. And I'm just taking some blues here just for fun. I was just playing around. I just wanted to see what would happen if I threw some blues into the bottom of the scene. And so I just put that into the background a little bit, and then shaded some of the trees with that blue as well. And the blue I'm using is B45, which is the same color we used to shade in the ice on the lake. And I'm just gonna add a couple more trees here and there with that blue, just for fun. You could do it or you could not do it. I don't think it matters either way. I just like to try different things every now and then. For the snow, we're gonna make little white dots with our white gel pen, and we're gonna use 2 different sizes. So we're gonna make a bunch of big little dots, like snowball size, and then we're just gonna fill it in with some little specks, just so that it looks like it's a really, really heavy snowstorm that these 2 little dancing bears are in the middle of. And you know, you've got your big snowflakes, your little snowflakes, everything in between. And I'm just gonna cover the whole card panel with those snowflakes, and then peel off the painter's tape, which leaves a nice white border around this A2 size card panel. And then we're going to add our sentiment, which says, "You make my heart spin." I thought that was so cute. So the idea that these 2 little bears, they're just dancing in the moonlight or skating in the moonlight and just spinning around each other, and they're just so happy and in love, and it just makes me happy thinking about it. And the ink that I use there is black VersaFine ink, which I like for sentiments because it's nice and dark and crisp. I'm going to add some little hearts just to reinforce how in love these little bears are. And these hearts come from the Sweet Friends stamp set that was released last year. They're in 3 different sizes, which I love, and it makes it perfect to kind of layer them the way that I did in this scene. Using some tape runner to adhere the card panel to the base of the card, and then we're going to glue those little hearts down with some glossy accents, and then put the glossy accents over the top so that the hearts are nice and glossy and sparkly, and so that they stand out against that background, which is a little bit busy with all the trees and the snow and the moonlight. So this is one version of the card. The first time that I made this card, I made it just using 1 bear, and I made the snow stop at the sky level, so you only see the snow in the sky, and I think that gave it a really nice, interesting look. But either way, I think looks nice. So if you want to try this card out, the version with the single bear takes less time, and it's a little bit simpler because there are less rows of trees, and I also think this scene is easier to do in a portrait format than a landscape format, just because it gives you more room to work on your sky. So let me know which of the versions you like the best in the comments, and I hope you guys give this, or ladies, I hope you give this card a try. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I think you would as well. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you again in the next video.